Namaka say I do. Adome bono samrani. Namaka say I do. Adonunkuwa no fata. Seme frenu oyiniwa. Midi Bible ni minsem sika. Midi bashenisa. Nama pe mwaka say I do. Anu nama kumari je. Me unu dia misi me vie. Oh, I do. Say I do. No dona chichiri makuma. Enunti mesu my friend say. Oh, I do. Say I do. No me don't me bonus samrani. I'll maybe a singing I if we makume, say I do. Na me de me dona kwe yeah. Me money re woo. If we makume, na me kasa. I don't wanna woo fata. Rameshe unsakawa. Na maka say I do. I don't wanna woo fata. Sika futro kawa. Namaka say I do. Hey, Namaka say I do. Adonunkuwa no fata. Namaka say I do. Adosika futro kawa. Namaka say I do. Namape mwaka say. Namaka say I do. Adonunkuwa no fata. Namaka say.
Kejula koso mommy, ke mommy ni maleni mana me sheda. Kejula koso mommy, ke mommy ni maleni mana me sheda. Mole mommy ke mi wa, mole mommy ke mi pala hami me sheda. Bunny me small, but some me know me shada. Bunny me small, but some me can't come a real crowd. Can me fake a cat for some monok, but your mission way song. Ni get me tension when the bank mommy no come on. Miss Marble, did they miss Marble? So mommy no me share. Did they miss Marble? Miss Marble, did they miss Marble? So mommy no me share.
For this morning, and it's a good time to say, I mean, I love you too.
I love you too.
No,
I love you too.
Too bright.
I love you, Mama.
Anyway, good morning, Ghana. Thank you for joining us once again. Of course, today is July 18th. Gradually, we're coming to the end of July, and we're so grateful that you always join us every morning from 6 to 9 a.m. for the best breakfast in Ghana. And of course, it's myself, Pride, and AJ.
What'd you say, AJ? Like,
because today I'm scared of you. After you heard the last song, you seem to be all excited.
All right, but I guess that if this morning you have a loved one called Dede, I guess this is the best way to wake her up and ask her to just listen to Ghana. Be with us throughout the day, and just about some minutes past 6 a.m. from now till 9, what we'll do is to excite you, get you out of bed, and to be productive. The team is ready. We're all set. The police band will be dishing out very, very exciting tunes in the course of the day, and we'll also talk to them. And of course, it's a great day today. Today is Mandela's birthday. If he was alive, he would have been 100 years old.
Yes.
So wherever he is, happy birthday. God keep his soul in perfect peace. The show
the
has just
lineup
started.
is interesting.
Very
We're talking
exciting
about
this
health
morning.
and scoliosis and how that affects our total being, because you know your spine is very important, but we don't seem to take good care of it. So it's high time we start talking more about it so people keep it in good shape. Before, why are you looking at me weird?
When you pronounce it again,
Scoliosis.
Okay.
So say after me.
Scoliosis. Okay.
Right. So we'll be talking about that.
It doesn't have a local name.
No, maybe when the doctor is in, we'll ask a local name.
Yeah, because we should Brighton and we are used to the local name.
But can you say spine in G?
Echidumpe.
Interesting. Yes. So
All right. We'll get to the local name later on, but we'll be talking about that. Perhaps we were told that the way we sit at our various workplaces is part of the problem. And so be careful how you sit. And even how you sleep on your beds. People sleep with legs hanging in the air. Not too good.
Oh, Harriet Asunda has acknowledged the fact that she's one of the examples you just
Legs
quoted.
hanging
Yes,
there.
interesting.
How do your
some
legs
people
hang?
cross their legs. Some people, I know an uncle who used to always wake up like that, and it was interesting. But hey, that's how God created you. Just take it.
Sleep with your legs.
Okay. It's a Wednesday morning, so
It's ready to fly.
I don't want to say certain things. It's Wednesday. If it was a Friday, I would have said a lot of things.
Midweek. Well, your weekend starts tomorrow, so we can keep it for tomorrow.
Tomorrow.
And then you just release everything out.
All right. So Anthony Jackson will give us the news, and then we'll jump straight forward into the show.
Well, it needs to be coming up shortly, right after this. Good morning and welcome to the news on New Day. I am Anthony Jackson. Now to the headlines. Now, the UG Medical Center is open. Parliament has approved a $90 million loan facility to establish a satellite campus of the University of Environment and Sustainable Development at Bonsu in the Eastern region. The minority in Parliament has called on the Ministry of Fisheries and Aquaculture Development to suspend the closed fishing season. A woman and a boy adrift in the Mediterranean died just hours before help reached their damaged dinghy. Once again, my name is Anthony Jackson. Now, all is now set for a partial opening of the University of Ghana Medical Center today, Wednesday, July 18. In this report, we find out how accessible the facility will be for the public, especially during emergencies.
From Wednesday, July 18, the Referral Outpatient Department, Pharmacy, Laundry and Housekeeping will begin operation at the facility, which has been dormant for 18 months. In accessing the facility, one would have to go through the University of Ghana Legon campus. But how feasible will this be, especially in the case when motorists must have an access pass to enter the campus? It appears the Okpongolo route would be the easier alternative. The news team was denied access when we attempted the Gempa route, which leads to the campus. The story was no different at the entrance, which connects directly to the TF hostel of the University of Ghana campus. Referrals from health facilities in areas like Achimota, Christian Village and La Paz may encounter challenges, particularly when patients are transported in private and commercial vehicles. The 650-bed facility, built at a cost of $217 million, was inaugurated by former President John Dramani Mahama on January 4, 2017. The absence of a backup generating plant is reported to have been a major obstacle to the opening because some equipment could not be operated on with power from the national grid due to possible power fluctuations. It started in April 2013 as a Turkey project by Messrs Engineering and Development Consultants Limited of Israel, with Sheba Medical Center, Israel, as the medical consultant.
President Akufo-Addo has received letters of credence from envoys of 5 countries on duty tours in Ghana. Now, the envoys pledged to work towards improving relations with the country.
First to present his credentials was the Chinese ambassador to Ghana, Shi Ting-Wang. He pledged to work to deepen and push relations between China and Ghana. President Akufo-Addo said the 2 countries will work to promote investment cooperation. Next to present his credentials was Myint Suez of the Republic of the Union of Myanmar. He called for strengthening cooperation on trade, investment and tourism. The Bangladeshi High Commissioner to Ghana, Sultana Hussein, was also at the presidency to present her credentials. Ugandan High Commissioner Nelson Ochega wants the 2 countries to strengthen areas of defense and security. Shelley Hoke Vicario also presented her letters of credence.
Parliament has approved a $90 million loan facility to establish a satellite campus of the University of Environment and Sustainable Development at Bonsu in the eastern region. The approval was amidst disagreements from the minority who argued that the law was being breached by government, as the first satellite campus is by law expected to be established at Donkokrom and not Bonsu.
The law establishing the University of Environment and Sustainable Development indicates that the first satellite campus of the school be established at Donkokrom in the eastern region. The main university campus, which is located at Somanya, also in the eastern region, was established in 2015. The $90 million loan from the Export-Import Bank of Korea is to establish the satellite campus at Bonsu. This, the minority on Friday said the project was overpriced, arguing $40 million was used for the main campus and wondered why a satellite campus would cost $90 million. They added the action by government to move the next campus from Donkokrom to Bonsu was illegal. On Tuesday, the minority challenged a voice vote and wanted a head count to determine the approval of the loan. After the head count, the majority had 125 as against 75 by the minority. The loan agreement has since been approved, but Deputy Minority Leader James Kluche Aveji says the minority might go to court, insisting it was illegal and that government should have first amended the law.
There's a provision in the order says that the council of the university can decide to add any other campus. The point that we are saying now, driving at, is that we do not have the council in place. So a decision of establishing another campus should be taken by the council. So once we do not have the council, who is taking that decision? That's the first question. The second question is that, is the Donkokrom campus still going to be built? If it is still going to be built, then we should wait for the council to be in place to take the decision of building the additional campus at Bonsu. If Donkokrom campus is not going to be built, and that is the one being moved from Donkokrom to Bonsu, why?
But Majority Leader said there was nothing wrong with what they did.
The law doesn't say so. The law provides that the University Council shall determine where the campus should be. That provision, we should have to look at it again. Because in establishing a university, you have to establish it first before you have a council in place. Now, if you are saying that the council should determine where to site the campuses, then you are putting the cart before the horse.
Let's do some health stories. The Ghana Registered Nurses and Midwives Association has rejected the National Health Insurance Scheme. President of the association, Dr. Kweku Asante-Krabea, urged government to find alternative resources of funding after Labour has indicated plans not to pay the 1% levy.
The Ghana Registered Nurses and Midwives Association vehemently rejected the 1% NHIS levy proposal and questioned how previous funds were utilized. Of a major concern to the association is that nurses are not fully covered under the National Health Insurance Scheme. Available figures from the Registered Nurses and Midwives indicate that more than 61% of nurses contract diseases at their workplaces.
Nurses and midwives are not going to begin full coverage of health care. I don't think that they are being fair. The agency is being fair to nurses and midwives in practice, and that is why I believe that what we are paying now, which I even consider as the arrangement under it, which I consider to be shortchanging of nurses, I do not think that we have to pay more.
Some civil society groups have suggested that government relies on the petroleum revenue to finance the scheme, but the President's Association disagreed.
I will not buy that. The petroleum revenue is supposed to be for some other developments. You know, this scheme must be shaped in such a way that it should be able to take care of itself. And so, if they want to convince us, or if they are saying that the scheme is cash-strapped, they must convince us enough. We can put the figures together. They can tell us how exactly they are using the monies for.
The Finance Ministry is to engage organized labor for the second time before the presentation of the mid-year budget review to Parliament.
The Executive Council of the National Canoe Association has served notice to petition the President over the implementation of the closed fishing season this year. The Council, after a closed-door meeting on Tuesday, argued artisanal fishing is the least of the factors contributing to the depleting fish stock, necessitating the one-month ban.
The Minister for Fisheries and Aquaculture Development on Friday, July 13, announced a closed fishing season to be observed between August 7 and September 4. The closed season, according to the Minister, is the first of a long-term measure to address the depleting fish stock. But the artisanal fishermen disagree.
After thoroughly examining the whole issue, taking into account the timing, and then the possible effect it will have on the stakeholders over the ban period, we have affirmed our position, which we took earlier, that we are not agreeing.
The Executive Council of the National Canoe Association, after a closed-door meeting on Tuesday, insisted failing to deal decisively with illegal, unreported and unregulated fishing practices will render the ban ineffective.
In Ghana, it has been identified that there are certain specific methods of fishing which account for the depletion of the fish stocks. The question we are asking is this: supposing, for the purpose of argument, we have allowed the close season to take place, when the ban is lifted and these people are still going on with their activities, of what use has the close season served?
The Tuesday meeting was attended by council members from all the 4 coastal regions.
The government itself make the law. The law is there. So it's better to lose the law enforcement agency to put a stop to all those unorthodox fishings. But it's still going on. Take something like light fishing. The use of monofilament nets, patrolling, the use of chemical, all those things. Those things are supposed to be stopped first.
The government ought to start from let us say from January for announcement, community education, so that it can educate the fisher folks to understand the meaning of close season and the reason why they have to come to close season.
The council has set aside July 24 to hold a national conference, after which it would present a petition to the President to press home their demand.
Still on fishing, the minority in Parliament has called on the Ministry of Fisheries and Aquaculture Development to suspend the closed fishing season. Ranking member of the Food and Agriculture Committee, Eric Opoku, says government is being insensitive to the plight of the fishermen, who he says are already suffering in the light of economic mismanagement.
At a news conference in Parliament House, the minority said the move to ban fishing by the sector ministry in August was not well thought through. According to them, it is shocking for the ministry to have announced the ban, indicating it is only the Fisheries Commission that can declare such a move.
Parliament has no information on attempts to close the fishery for a month, much as you support any effort to reverse the trend in the decline of our fishery stock. This is a country where we do not have a research vessel or a well-resourced research laboratory. To plan a closure requires adequate scientific study on the migratory patterns of the species one intends managing and identifying their breeding grounds and periods. This, we are aware, has not been done.
He noted the closed season was enacted in other African countries, including Senegal and Morocco, but that did not render the fishers jobless.
Said facts indicate that Ghana has an open sea with small pelagic sandalina and mackerel migrating from the west, that's Azim and Cape 3 Points area, towards the east, Benin. The journey begins annually in May and ends in October. They are normally found in Accra, Keta Enclave in August, heading towards Benin. This means that there is no guarantee that the fish will remain in our waters after August. Since fishermen earn only per trip, it means that a day without fishing is just like losing a monthly salary.
Eric Opoku said the ban would not only impoverish the fisher folks, but would also increase fish importation, which will have a dire consequence on the exchange rate. The minority therefore asked for an immediate suspension of the ban.
Our fisher folks have secured loans and repaired their nets and other fishing gears in anticipation of bumper harvest season and are in debt. How do they manage their debts? We are also calling on the scientific community to determine the scientific areas where the fish spawns, so they can either close permanently or temporarily to preserve our resources. Ban on fishing in the entire economic exclusive zone is a practical display of insensitivity to the plight of our hard-working fishers and must be reversed forthwith.
He also urged government to purchase a research vessel for the country to conduct regular surveys as promised in 2017.
Now, players in the import and export sector have questioned the implementation of the cargo tracking notes, which was suspended by the Vice President in May this year. According to the Ghana Union of Trade Association, the Food and Beverages Association, they are yet to be consulted by the Ghana Revenue Authority on the policy on the way forward.
The Ghana Revenue Authority, GRA, served notice to reintroduce the cargo tracking notes policy from July 1, following 2 failed attempts earlier in the year. The Cargo Tracking Note, CTN, is a platform by the GRA for collection and management of commercials and logistical information relating to the cargo and ship from loading ports. Its introduction forms part of the drive to modernize GRA operations to facilitate trade in line with international best practices. But the Ghana Union of Traders Association disagrees. President of GUTA, Dr. Joseph Obing, says it will only add on to their cost.
We would like to appeal to the President of the Republic, His Excellency Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, through the good offices of the Economic Management Team, to suspend the implementation until proper deliberations are held with all relevant stakeholders in order to achieve the set goals for the benefit of all.
They fear this will continue to burden them as they already pay huge charges at the ports.
It is even more unfortunate that the policymakers refuse to do anything about the already high cost of doing business, the astronomical rate of duty, fees, levies, and charges that accumulate to about 50 to 65% of our import capital.
The group says until proper stakeholder consultations are held, they will resist the implementation.
7 out of the 8 suspected robbers whose attack reportedly led to the death of a police officer with the SWAT unit of the Ashanti Regional Police Command have been gunned down. The deceased officer, Lance Corporal Daniel Teku, was on duty with his colleague, Lance Corporal Eric Insian, when 8 masked men attacked the vehicle they were traveling in at Ayiribi Krom near Manson Kwanta on July 13. This is some international stories. A woman and a boy adrift in the Mediterranean Sea died just hours before help reached their damaged dinghy, Spanish rescuers said on Tuesday, after finding a second woman alive in the vessel which had been carrying migrants towards Europe. A rescue boat operated by the Spanish charity went to help the 3 migrants stranded about 80 nautical miles from Libya's coast, but found 2 already dead. Proactiva Open Arms said the 3 were left helpless after being abandoned by Libyan coast guards. The Libyans had left the scene after the 2 women refused to board their patrol ship. Well, that's all for news. The police band will take us from here.
I give you green light to tire. Jolo me, jolo. I'm a killer babu. Jolo me. Jolo me. I go shoot my shot to you, jolo. So jolo baby, take my number. Take my number. You know you can call me later. Call me later. Me, I want to be your lover. Be your lover. So baby, call me later. Call me later. People see me, oh, talk to your friend, oh, jolo me, baby, yo, jolo me, jolo. Show me one who's out for me. You don't say like me, I be alone, babo, kilo de jolo. I give you second now, jolo me, say no, they say me, jolo me. I give you give like the tire, jolo me, jolo. I'm a kilo babo, jolo me, say no, they famu, jolo me. I go shoot my shot to you, jolo. So jolo baby, take my number, take my number. You know you can call me later, call me later. Me, I want to be your lover, be your lover. So baby, call me later, call me later.
It's time for us to do the newspaper headlines now. We'll start off with Ghanaian Times. It says President honors the first presidential pitch winners, and there's an insert of the Minister for Business and also the lady who won and the president there. Then also Guta threatens boycott of cargo tracking node at the port. Then the police has gunned down 7 armed robbers in Kumasi. Then also concerning tomorrow's mid-year budget review, the HISPAG is advising government to increase NHIS levy from 2.5% to 3.5% of VAT. Interesting stories there on Ghanaian Times. Whether we agree or not, that's what people's opinions are being aired on the front pages of Ghanaian Times. Moving on to other newspapers coming in, the Finder says rising recklessness on roads, 1,212 killed in 6 months, 204 killed in June 2018 alone. Also, African Airlines mass consolidates to benefit from single skies. Then also Premium Sahel GN Bank are set to merge pending Bank of Ghana's approval. More mergers seem to be happening on our banking front. Then also President Nana Addo says innovation is the key to Ghana's development. Then Guta is saying that they should give deadline to foreign retailers to register, because we know that foreign retailers have been causing a lot of issues on the sales front. So that is their suggestion to government, and let's see how best that pans out. Moving on to other newspapers coming in this morning, we have quite a number. BNFT, Business and Financial Times, says Ethiopian to operate domestic flights if selected as a partner for home-based carrier. Then also ADB postpones its AGM. Then competition on Accra-London route heats up. ET and SAA plan direct service. Interesting. Then also GSE suspends trading in the ADB shares. So these are the stories on BNFT. You should grab a copy if you want to know exactly what the stories are saying. Then Daily Graphic comes up with this. It says public happy with turnaround time at DVLA. Then also Graphic and Deaf Tracker to give 2 houses to their readers. Then you should be part of that. Maybe if you buy more Daily Graphic newspapers, you would win a house. Then also used Tier 2 pensions as mortgage. Banker tells regulatory authority. Then Belstar reacts to Bank of Ghana's annulment of ADB shares. So all these are in Daily Graphic. You should grab a copy to know the details. Daily Guide also says 7 robbers killed in Kumasi. Then Supreme Court frees Opuni's tainted accounts. Then massive revenue leakage at the ports. That's coming from GRA. Then obviously there are some insert of some 2 female and 2 male all being, booked for the EC position. And the question is, who gets EC top job? 4 names have popped up. There's Professor Henrietta Mensah Bonsu, Dr. Emmanuel Akwete, Professor Jima Buedi, and also Justice Sophia Adinyira. Interesting names coming up. Right.
Well, very interesting times we're in. A country hoping, anticipating who gets the nod. Information we're picking indicates that Professor Jima Buedi has actually declined to be appointed as EC chair. We can't confirm that, but that's what we're picking. Others are quite very experienced persons, I can see. Prof. Henrietta, Dr. Akwete, Justice Sophia Adinyira. These are persons, I guess, if given the job, can do it. I think it comes with the president doing the right consultations. What the president is trying to avoid is a situation where he appoints someone and then the debate is that, well, he is for this side, he is for that side. And so the only way out is to have broad consultation. And I would have loved to see even the president consulting the political parties, all of them, in appointing the person, so that we don't go back to this debate of he stood on the ticket of this party or that party some time ago, and so the person comes to office and is tainted. So for me, let's wait for the president, but I would advise that since the president watches New Day, he should engage in a broad consultation before appointing whoever.
Right. I certainly agree with you, but as of now, we don't so much know what consultations have gone in to get these names coming up. But like you said, each of these people is highly qualified, more competent than, I mean, we know based on what the offices they've held so far. But the EC position tends to be one that, if we're not careful, will taint the individual's, you know, performance over the many years they've been in whatever institutions they are, because we know there's so many political affiliations when it comes to the EC position, and you may come in a neutral person, but you may leave office being, you know, tagged with a particular political party. And so, like you said, it will be high time where the consultations particularly involve the political parties, so that everyone is, you know, comfortable with whoever is chosen, and not per se assuming that that person is coming from party A or party B, because that's where the confusion often comes in. Because you see rightly with, you know, Madame Charlotte Osei's removal, where the minority is against, because they seem to have, you know, thought that they put her in power, and so they have some affiliation, they have an interest in wherever she goes or whatever happens to her, as against the MPP who only came to meet her in office. And so it becomes as if MPP is against her and then NDC is for her. But remember, I mean, Ghana is bigger than just these two political parties. We've got other independent parties, we've got other bigger parties that also may come into power sometime. And so ideally, whoever comes in should be neutral, should be someone who understands the tenets and the laws and will not breach any of, I mean, what we've seen happen in past years, and will be able to hold that position in high esteem. Because really, the EC is a very, very important office, and it plays a big role in our political arena and how Ghana, you know, moves from one democratic governance to another. So we hope that these people, having had their credentials and all the information they have, would come into position with broad consultation, so that everything will run smoothly.
By the close of day today or tomorrow, whoever should be named. There was a cabinet meeting yesterday, and I am sure that person was thoroughly discussed. Like I said, I am hopeful that a lot of consultation is gone into this. All stakeholders, political parties, civil society, the Council of State, the National House of Chiefs, almost everyone in this country. And I guess the president has the name in his pocket this morning, and I'm sure before the end of the day today or tomorrow, the name will come out. But it will be interesting to name the person on Friday so that we can go into the weekend.
With celebration.
With celebration. All right. Let's look at this one. Daily Graphic has this massive revenue leakage at port. Now, if you look at the Daily Guide, the story, it says that the country's borders, Aflau and where? Lubo, yes. That Ghana is losing millions of Ghana cedis, making it difficult for the authority, that is the GRA, to achieve its target. So if you take a look at what Mr. Kofinti, the head of GRA, is suggesting, I'm trying to pick up the figures. It says that we're losing about 1,445.40 million cedis in duties at the ports. And so this is where, if you tie this into what we're expecting to see tomorrow, the talk about government raising taxes. Some have suggested, look, the taxes that we're already paying are just too much. And so block the loopholes. This is the head of the GRA suggesting that this is how much we're losing at the port. Now, if we're able to block this, we will not need to go and increase taxes. Of course, there are certain taxes that we must pay. For instance, for me, I am in favor of what is being talked about. Dr. Samuel Arno of the NHIS is suggesting that if we don't increase the premium 1 more %, we risk not being able to render the kind of service we need a year on. So good to increase that. But certain other taxes, I think that if government can cut down waste, government can block the loopholes. Look, I have said that. You travel on a weekend anywhere in Ghana, okay, and you see these green painted number plate vehicles on our roads, funerals, festivals, outdoorings, okay, and the sad thing is that you find these vehicles, engines on, driver sleeping in it, whoever is the official who used it is sitting down at the function in the sun, and the engine is on. So if the function travels for 6, 7, 8 hours, the engine is on. Okay, this is what some have just suggested, that if government can cut we will not have to tax our people so much. That is not to say that we should not be taxed. Of course, we need a tax to develop. But first of all, let us block the leakages. Let us cut the waste. Then we can save some small cedis for kinky and fish.
I think that's the way to go, right? Because these places, the loopholes that we talk about, these are not, I mean, abstract. These are very tangible areas we know about. And particularly the ports. I mean, Dr. Baumia earlier last year, I think, visited the ports, and we all knew the rot and some of the porosities at these ports. And so oftentimes, it's not even only this government. Many governments have noticed that the ports have these leakages. I'm looking at what have we done many years down the line to block these
people
leakages.
from siphoning what is
Exactly,
there.
and yet you come back and tax the same person who's being taxed already, and who can't even pay what you're already taxing, because we have the property tax, which we've spoken about many times, where the senior minister says, well, valuation is even a problem. And also yesterday, when we were having this discussion concerning the mid-year review, you know, Dr. Mensah and Joe Jackson both reiterated that the problem is the collection of this revenue and blocking these loopholes. So in as much as we want to increase the taxes, these are not necessarily the only routes to go. You can also decide to broaden the tax net and the base. And when you're doing that, you're also looking at blocking the loopholes, the wastages, where we have quite a number of ministers all being paid, their cars being fueled, electricity being paid on their behalf, some people being subsidized with even rents. You know, so all these are things that we can look at effectively. I think the consensus, what everyone is saying is, we know that we need support to increase revenue, to be able to sustain some of these, including the NHIS. However, maybe at this particular point, increasing the levies may not be the way to go, because people are overburdened, and we don't see, it comes to accountability, we don't see what you're using the previous taxes for. And so why do I give it back to you? Why do I allow you to put, you know, new wine in old skin? Because you're doing the same things over and over again. All we've been insisting on is increasing the tax net, but can we look at broadening it, widening it, using the many other revenues,
and getting everyone else to pay, instead of just a few of us who at the end of the month gets all our money.
When you say there's a leakage at a port, what is there that is causing it to leak? Is it that the customs are not doing their work
if
well?
we're not careful, one day we will refuse to pay the tax, because if the taxes the monies at the port, we're losing it. How do we? Yesterday I was listening to a guy, and then I went to check. In fact, when Lee Kuan Yew, the Singapore guy, when he was building Singapore, I hear the ministers he picked did not pick salary. They didn't take salaries, because he said he only picked people who had made it in life as ministers. So such persons
we're passionate about the country.
Yes, the only passion was to help develop the country. They didn't pick salaries, okay? And from what I read, because of that, these persons could even disagree with Lee Kuan Yew and said, look, what you're suggesting is wrong. Let's go this way, okay? And it worked for them. Over here, people are named as public officials, and the only way now people go into politics is because they want to be rich.
Exactly.
Because you go there, you have a car, your house is guarded by policemen, you have your electricity, your water bill, and so because of that, go to public officials, go to their houses. Telephones can be used 12 hours. As soon as one call ends, another one starts. And the taxpayer is paying for it.
Well, it's their constituents.
Is that the way to go?
They'll tell you it's constituents, so they have to respond to that.
Anyway.
But anyway, let's go to Western Region and rants this morning. We're talking about expectations from the mid-year budget review. What exactly do you want to hear the minister talk about tomorrow? Let's see.
This is what it feels like. Finance Minister Ken Oforiatta will very soon update Parliament and by extension Ghanaians on the performance of the economy in the past half year. The minister will use the opportunity to either maintain, review or introduce certain economic policies for the country. Ahead of the presentation, there's a rumor that there's going to be an increase in VAT. A leading member of the party, Gabi Otredakon, has in a Facebook post asked whether Ghanaians will support any increase in VAT. The minority in Parliament has registered its abhorrence about any increase in VAT, explaining that will overburden Ghanaians. This morning on Daily Rant with me, Eric Yewode, we want to find out what your expectations are ahead of the presentation of the mid-year budget.
I'm expecting him to come out with short-term pragmatic measures aimed at stabilizing the cedi against the dollar. I think that is at the base of everything economic we do in this country. Unfortunately, we run the import-export ratio. We have to look at very pragmatic ways of stabilizing the cedi. I think that it was even a campaigning message, a strong campaigning message. This is the time we need Bawumia, the vice president, to bring his magic to bear.
The MPP manifesto spoke a lot about how they feel they will have to run from taxation to production. So if we have immediate budget that is being invaded by new taxes, it means that the normal Ghanaian will want to lose faith in the Ghanaian politician. So I will expect that they run a media budget that we didn't see certain taxes that seems to anger the individual, because we were made to believe that because of taxation, the ordinary Ghanaian cannot make ends meet and businesses are being crippled. And if we were told that we were running a manifesto that will metamorphosize into a policy document in government that will reduce taxes, Ghanaians will expect a mid-year budget that should not have the communication service tax increased, that will not have an expanded corporate tax introduced, and that will not have a value-added tax increase, and that will not have a certain contributions of Senate increase.
You said that you've removed some taxes from port charges, duties and all that, but still people are complaining. You have gone ahead to say you have reduced some taxes, so why are you now going to increase it on VAT? If we continue with the taxing system, there wouldn't be too much difference between the erstwhile NDC government and this current administration. If we just going to overburden the taxpayer and increase taxes, at the end of the day, we are not looking at the back door, the leakages. We are not going anywhere. At a point in time, you cannot continue. That is the fact. Truth be told.
We begin to look at, apart from taxing, we can begin to look at other interventions that we said that they were leakages. We plug those leakages and begin to push that there, because we are told that if you take the Auditor General's report, it tells you how there are leakages. So if we are able to be disciplined financially, we could make certain interventions towards that without necessarily going to say that we must tax the ordinary Ghanaian. I don't understand how we will embrace VAT increase in this country, because this is what led to a demonstration in 1995 that people died. And VAT is a vocabulary when they are mentioned. Nano Ado should keep quiet. And I don't see why Ntukuma would have to sit under the same kapok tree that a coconut fell down and killed his father. I am expecting that it was just to test the grounds and probably sway us to other taxes, and after all we will be told that, oh, after all the VAT did not go, but it is other taxes that come. But if you look at the VAT thing and look at that policy VAT, it's the same VAT that fed get funds. It's the same VAT we are seeing in NHRS. It means that it's not a necessary evil, but the politics we have embraced it with make it impossible for us to touch it. Because if you see the kind of projects VAT has done, get fund, and naturally, it means that we could get to a stage that VAT could even be increased and we could reduce the no-bear syndrome. But because of the argument and the debate that characterizes it, how do you touch that argument?
Nobody has any problem with taxing, but when you have already fought against it, and then you think that we have too many or too many taxes in the system, you have had cause to reduce some. How do you go back and then increase VAT, the same tax component that you fought? Again, we are looking at the informal system. We think that regime to regime, we have done a lazy work, as Charles Riley pointed out, because we have not broadened the tax net. It's just been the formal sector. We think that we have a huge informal sector that if we are able to devise ingenious, innovative ways of taxing them, then the burden will be reduced on those who are already paying. But as it is, it's just the formal sector. It's just increasing the rate. NHIS going up, VAT going up, this one going up, and it's just the same formal sector. And see, if we want to fight corruption, you want to pay people well, because people must live. And if you push them to the wall, they have to find ways and means of surviving. We need to take another look at the free SHS policy. I don't know if at this stage we can even call it policy, because policy comes with guidelines and all that. The idea per se is laudable. Nobody is fighting against that. After all, the business of government is to protect the vulnerable in society. And I think that that is aimed at doing that. But as you look at it, there are people who can afford it. And indeed, it's bleeding. The government's pocket is bleeding as a result of this otherwise very laudable idea. And we are not getting its value in terms of the quality. I mean, we just at the end of WASI results, and we haven't cause to complain. So we need to go back and look at this otherwise very laudable policy and look at pragmatic ways of running it. If people can afford it and have quality, let's go ahead and make sure that the targeted people who are supposed to benefit are benefiting, and then we don't run down the entire system. And that does not become a reason why we have to tax. If at the end of the day you say I won't pay school fees, but then I have to pay value-added tax, it's as good as letting me pay my school fees.
At the time that people were campaigning to come to power, if anybody at all had said that I will bring free SHS, I'll bring one village, one dam, I will bring one district, one factory, and I will increase VAT to $1 million, one constituency, and I will increase VAT to 21%. There's nobody who would have embraced that. But arguments were pointed to the fact that there are various ways of funding projects. There are a lot of leakages that are being done, and we could do it that. So if we are being told today that the much trumpeted policy, free SHS, a very good and laudable policy that have gotten about 90,000 students to attend to school free, very laudable, is going to be possible as a result of increment of VAT. I think that to a large extent, it defeats the very purpose that said that we were not going to do this taxing the ordinary Ghanaian. There were other various ways.
I will forever say that digitization is the way to go. It's a way of really plugging the holes that we have. But I haven't seen much drive after that initial steps that were taken. I think that is the way we should go. We should gradually be moving in that direction. At the ports, we were told initially when they started, the few weeks that they started, we were told that we were recouping a lot, and you would have expected that the duties will correspondingly be reducing. But I mean, ask every importer. Everybody is complaining, from the individual importers to the mighty importers. Everybody is complaining about duties. So what happened?
What is happening is that politicians themselves have conscientized the Ghanaian in such a way that he takes a militant stand when you want to talk about increment of tax. We all agree that nations that have been able to get to where they are have not done that without getting a wider tax bracket and making sure that people don't dodge tax they pay. What we ought to do is to strengthen our institutions such as NCCE, institutions, our independent bodies and civil society group, to begin to look at the mindset of the Ghanaian. That after all, let us accept the fact that you need to begin to develop the habit of paying tax. When we accept it that way, gradually we will be able to get to a fact that it's not politicians who will want to use our plight to do politics, but we ourselves accept it, because you traveled outside the country and any part of your expenditure you did is taxed. But we ought to work off our currency. I was leaving for UK and I changed all my money in pounds. The next 5 minutes I wanted to change some into cedis, and they said that the very person who changed the money to me said that I can't buy it the same rate that I bought it. What country is it that we use two currencies? You to India, they give you rupees, they make sure that they take all the rupees and you leave the place. What deliberate policy do we have in this country that will make our currency very stable and allow the Ghanaian to accept that we need to be taxed?
The question ought to be, how do we widen the tax net? Because, come on now, you cannot overburden those who are already in the brackets. You cannot overburden it. The real innovation will have to come from looking beyond those who are already paying and bringing on the majority. In fact, I dare say the informal sector that are not contributing to the kitty. That should be the drive. It shouldn't be just increase. Anybody can do that. There's no innovation in that. You just increase the rates of the existing taxes. You're not done anything new.
Okay. So those were the views of the gentleman I have with me here ahead of the presentation of the mid-year budget. You can also go onto our various social media platforms there and post your expectations there. This has been your daily run from Takrady with me, Eric Yeweje.
grateful that you stay there for us. We have started our conversation here with my guests already seated. The newspapers, you've seen some of the front pages, from Daily Graphic to Daily Guide to The Finder, the Business and Financial Times and the Ghanaian Times. You've seen them. My guest to do the talking this morning, a member of the NPP's team, Eric Amakuchum, is here. Eric, good morning.
Good morning.
Hope you're doing great.
I'm doing fantastic. I heard that your program was quite
okay.
Yesterday.
I see. The two gentlemen, member of Parliament for South, Reverend Intim Fodjo and then Murtala Mohammed.
I couldn't watch because I was on Metro, but I heard that was fine. But politics can be a bit passionate.
But what we try to do here is not to allow personal attacks. So when Murtala seemed to have attacked Reverend personally, we got the two of them to agree to apologize. Murtala to apologize and the Reverend to also apologize to him. So I guess we ended on a good note.
Okay, thank God. I think Reverend should come to for some small because Murtala behaves in somebody's with me.
You know how to handle him.
You said you didn't watch, so how would you?
I see.
So just by the way, Murtala is my good friend.
Okay.
I mean, I think that.
Okay, I guess we settled that. And Mr. Bawa, MP for Bongo, here in my studio. Welcome once again.
Thank you.
And I'm sure your constituents are watching. They don't miss a new day.
Yes.
I know them. All right.
TV3 is very popular in the
We're grateful for your time. Let's start the conversation this morning. There was a cabinet meeting yesterday. We're sure that the president might have picked whoever gets to sit at the top of the Electoral Commission. But what we'll try to do is to see if we can get into the mind of the president and see what he's thinking and how far he will go to get someone accepted by all, as he's told us that he's not in to pick anyone from the NPP or who is for the NPP or for the NDC to sit there. Honorable Bar, let me start the conversation here. What should I am assuming he's done that already. What should he have looked out for? How broad should the consultation have been in picking who gets this job?
Thank you very much, and good morning to your viewers. As you indicated that my constituents watch this program very well, let me say a very good morning to them and the overlord of Bongo. I may be the wrong person to ask me what he should be looking for. But in the first place, I do not even agree, or I don't subscribe to the whole belief that we should have been where we are today.
Okay.
On the basis of the fact that the events that led to this discussion we're having. Generally, I think that issues of elections, and the reason why many countries who have also decided to adapt the whole concept of democracy. The reasons why Ghana is different from them is the fact that to a very large extent, we have had a very credible electoral commission. From 1992, yes, we may have made some challenge. We may have had some challenges, even from the days of INEC, when it was INEC before it became EC. We had challenges, but we improved upon them. Indeed, if you look at the years of Afarijan and you come to even Charlotte, who supervised the last elections, international people have felt that we have acquitted ourselves very creditably. And so the events that led to these discussions of even contemplating getting another person is something that I am worried about. I am worried about because, yes, I am one person who believes in the rule of law. I believe that, and people have made these arguments, the fact that, look, government, the president only followed constitutional prescriptions, and that he was mandated by law to have given these things to the Chief Justice to look at it. A committee was set up and recommendations, so he was just implementing the recommendations. But it's also very true that people have gone to court to challenge this particular decision. And so, in as much as the people may not have asked for an injunction on this particular, on the president to, as it were, move ahead to elect a new, or maybe appoint a new electoral commissioner, I think that it is only fair that we exhaust, if the president would have allowed us to exhaust all the various legal processes. I said this for a very...
Is it an impediment?
It is. It would be an impediment because in our view, and I say this on the basis of most of the individuals, not only the NDC, but even well-meaning Ghanaians and Ghanaians who are very keen on the electoral processes of this country, that we think that if you look at the circumstances under which the current electoral commissioner was asked to leave office, there are circumstances that in themselves seem to have some underpinnings that, yes, people will say prove it, but will prove it by virtue of, you see, they say if you want to see how to a very large extent somebody wants to deal with, you need to start looking at, you see, because out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaketh. You had situations where even from day one when this woman was was appointed. Sorry that you have asked me what the president should have been looking at. And I'm not addressing that. And I'm not. I will address that. You see, the reason why I'm not addressing that directly is the fact that I don't even agree to the whole idea of we being where we are. Are you getting the point I'm making?
But haven't we gotten past?
No, we haven't. We haven't gotten past there. We haven't gotten. No, in fact, I don't.
Because the president is just about getting a new person.
Yes.
That's what we're told.
As I speak now, I know that the president has the right to do those things. So he is going ahead to do it.
Right.
But I don't subscribe to it. And so the whole idea of, all of us know generally what an electoral commissioner should be, who the person should be, the prescriptions or maybe the conditions under which the person, what are the qualifications the person is. Everybody knows that they are printed out clearly for all of us to see. So that is not in contention. And for a moment, even the people they have contemplated, whether it is Professor Mensah Bonsu,
the picture
Harriet Mensah, I know her very well. As a National NUCS president, I served on the Presidential Commission on on educational reform, the Anamo Mensah committee. She was a member of that, and I represented students. So for 1 year, I had served on the same committee commission with her. So I know her personally, and I know that she's somebody who to a very large extent is capable. So she has all the credentials to become not only electoral commissioner, but whatever position we want to give her in this country. So that is not the issue. The issue has to do with why are we where we are. That's the argument I'm making.
We should not move on.
We shouldn't move on. I think that there are some court processes that have been initiated. The judiciary should be interested in disposing of these cases. I do know that Kokubako is in court. I know that there's another person who has also gone to court. So there are two different court cases, processes in the Supreme Court. Okay. Why don't we just wait and ensure that we finish with these things? Then on the basis of that, we know that we have exhausted all other areas before we start talking about issues of consultations. Okay. The fact that the president says that he is not going to appoint anybody who is seen
coming in for
a party declaration, it's not a way of consolation to all of us. In the first place, the first person who was appointed, and I'm talking of Charlotte, when Charlotte was appointed, beyond just the fabrication of photoshopping and taking some pictures and saying that she was contesting for, I don't know, is it some position
seat in
the Western region, which ended up to realize it was a picture of somebody from the Eastern region. Apart from that, nobody knew her to be there because she was already even working at the NCCA. So I am saying that, yes, the president, by the law, has the right to do this. But I think that the circumstances under which Charlotte went out of office is something that is very unacceptable. It is something that people have decided to challenge it in court. It is something that purely, and I'm telling you the truth, but for the demise of our former vice president, as a party, we would have taken up certain things, and we still intend doing that post his funeral. So to discuss the qualifications, everybody knows them, what the person needs to meet. But I think that we shouldn't be where we are, because I think that there was a deliberate attempt to get this woman out.
Okay, I'm grateful. That's Member of Parliament for Bongo, Honorable Dredba, Eric, and so that's his view, that we shouldn't have got him. But I also will go ahead and ask you. You can react to what he said, but we'll ask you the kind of consultation, how broad the president should have done.
Well, thank you very much. Good morning to my friend. I've been seeing him for a while. I thought he was on some kind of sabbatical. He's back. Well, good morning to you as well. It's important that we situate this conversation properly, and I was glad that he started with the premise of rule of law. And so I would have expected that we won't have any kind of double speak or double standards here. Excuse me. Because, you see, there's precedents. And the precedents I can just give you one example of the issues surrounding Madame Loretta Lamte when she was at Shraj, and the processes that were activated, and at the point at the time, President John Mahama had to make a decision. And then again, the Constitution has provisions for issues like this, and he recounted the processes as well as to what has to transpire before the president can make a decision like that. And this decision was made based on the recommendation of the committee that was set, and that's stipulated by the same constitution that governs all of us. So for me, I mean, the commentary and the so-called conspiracy theory that there was some kind of attempt to remove her from day one and all of those things can never be, like, it's not neither here nor there. Because we all know the genesis of the issues surrounding Charlotte Osei and her deputies. There was a point where even there was meant to be some kind of parliamentary
the House
met Parliament where
the three
commissioners were there. They didn't even know where their boss were. You know, and all of these things are things that would basically to point to a fact that the commission itself, as an entity, had issues, and the petition emanated from within the commission. But that's notwithstanding, I think that, you see, when you want to create a certain perception that something untoward had happened, and that you're going to use that as an opportunity to disturb the peace of this country or destabilize the sanctity, the very sanctity of our democracy, and go out there and cause mayhem, then I can also assure the NDC that, again, the government is minded by the commitment that it has made to the people of this country to protect and make sure that Ghanaians are secured and we live in an environment. So this whole almost a tacit admittance that we are going to cause mayhem, I heard something from the chairman of the NDC, and I was quite scandalized to a certain degree, where we are waiting for the burial of Vice President Emisa Atta, and then after that we would actually bare our teeth. Bare your teeth in what sense? Now, I'm glad that some people have seen the need to challenge this process, or even go and seek clarity for themselves and even for the enrichment of our democracy by going to court. But that does not mean that the whole country should come to a standstill. Or
you're not the most important. They can't protest.
No, they can. They're doing because the right thing. But you see, the sort of approach, even an attempt to go and congregate at Obrasport the very next day without recourse to the police and all of those things, it's not something that would be countenanced. They're not going to encourage that sort of behavior, and I'm sure that they are minded by that because they've been in power before. They've appreciated. Listen, you see, this is coming from a political party that even when we, as an opposition party, together with some civil society organizations, have gone to seek the approval of the police to go on what was a peaceful demonstration, somebody had their eyes taken out. People were beaten. You saw prominent members of our party beating left, right, and center.
So it's time for revenge?
No, it's not time for revenge, but it's time for you to be responsible. So that even when you want to do that, which is meant, of course, your democratic right, you make sure that you go through the right processes and you don't go and try and threaten mayhem and cause destabilize and make this, say, people have been on record of saying that they'll make this country ungovernable. For what reason? You see, and you see, when it happens like that, then it comes back to the same old partisanship and politicking. Because I can give you an example. The same constitution that gave President Mahama at the time the right to grant, pardon to this Muntie 3, the famous Muntie 3 Saka. When the NDC some people in the country were of the view that maybe it was in bad taste. They came back with the same constitutional argument that the president had a right to do so, right? So what has changed? In the era of President Akufo-Addo, if he activates something within the constitution, it becomes a problem. What kind of double standards is that? My view is that the people who have gone to the Supreme Court have every right to go and seek clarity. But that does not mean that an institution, a key institution as the Electoral Commission, should be left to lie fallow just to wait for court process. We have been in this country. How long have we been chasing Moyomi, for instance? We've been in this country where in the last 5-6 years we've been going after people, or processes have gone into court and all of that.
I thought you had taken the money from Moyomi.
I'm just using it as and there's a plethora of examples like that. So I'm saying that, does it mean, the logic, does it mean that if it's going to take 3-4 years, or 2 years, or a year, or 6 months, or 9 months for the court processes to come to its logical conclusion, we shouldn't have an EC chair? Come on. Right? So the point is that, and the people, petitioners, have also gone on to say that they were not seeking an injunction because they also have the right to, they would have been able to go to court to seek an injunction, and the court would have also sat on the matter and decided if it has merit or not. Okay. You understand? I'm not a lawyer, but the point is that I am always particularly happy that we as a country, we've moved away from the era where people would at willy-nilly be taken into a tribunal and taken to a firing squad and shot to death, or people, as it were accused of borrowing money from the bank and killed and all of this. It has happened before. Or somebody sitting somewhere saying that I am displeased or express some kind of disquiet about a government and goes and overthrows it. We have agreed that we are going to go this democracy route, right? And everything that happens along the process, as far as I'm concerned, enriches our democracy. So this whole idea that when it's on the other foot, it's okay. And you see, there's an account saying that echicheche, you know what echicheche is? Somebody who goes out, executioner, always sleeps with one eye open. Why? And so they have actually gone into this whole grand conspiracy theory that there's an attempt to rig elections and all that. How can we be thinking about elections? Yes.
What did the president mean when he said that he would do things differently?
In terms of what?
In terms of governance.
It's clear for everybody to see. The president had a conviction to bring about a free SHS. He has done so. We have activated processes that are working as we speak. We have a paperless system at the port. The National Identification Authority is working in earnest. These guys are trying to put a spanner in the works, but it would happen. We restored teacher training allowances, nursing training allowances. Yes, I'm telling you. Even if you look at the indices in terms of economic indices, everything comparable to the NDC is way on the up. Yes, it's true. Okay. Now, so these are the things that the president is doing seriously. Okay. Again, in other areas, in things that people have been accused or alleged to have done certain things, investigations have gone on, and they have been seen to have not done anything wrong. Are a plethora of examples. Now, again, the president is someone who is a consummate Democrat, right, and understands one of the bastions of rule of law in this country, and we know that, and that nobody's right in this country would be unduly infringed upon, right, and the processes would go through. And I don't think that if that happens, look at the appointment of Martin Amidu. For me, it's one of the most significant things that has happened in this country, whereby you give an authority to somebody who even comes from the other side, so that this accusation of persecution will stop. Okay. And this accusation of witch hunting will stop, so that anything that is found culpable is going to go through. But you spoke I get it 25-20 minutes.
Okay, Eric, I'm grateful.
Quick ones.
Coming quickly, just 2 minutes, and then we'll take a break.
The fact that a political party or a group of individuals contemplate exercising their democratic rights by trying to use any of the tools available, whether it is through court processes, whether through peaceful and lawful demonstrations.
But that is not the action
which action are you talking about?
He has not denied that. He said
that's what I said to do in the first place. And the commentary
I don't need your help this morning. So in the first place, so that in itself does not constitute what do you call it, disturbing the peace of this country. That's the first point. So it is within the rights of everybody. Secondly, it's just for your information and for the information of our viewers. Nobody needs the approval of the police for what they call it, for demonstrations. But the law says that you only need to inform them. If the police in one way or the other think that they cannot act, if the police thinks that for one reason or the other they are not capable of providing security for you, the demonstrator, other thing, they need to go to court. That is the other point. But the last but not the least, my brother, the reason why we is when you compare the issue of Loretta Lamptey to that of Charlotte Osei, the challenge I get is this. One, you have a situation where even your petitioners that you had, at the end of the day, it is only one petitioner who didn't even have knowledge of even the contents of his petition. Two, you had listed names of people, and the people who had can I make my point? Can I make my point? Eric, want to read back? I get yes. You have a situation where the list of petitioners who were supposed to have been saying that Madam Charlotte Osei had done something untoward on the basis of that he should be removed from office. At the time they wrote the petition, one of them was a deceased person.
Okay, I hear it's captured in the report. Which
died. At the moment. Did he come from the grave? No. Did he come from the grave to, as it were, write that petition? That is the argument we're making. And I'm just trying to tell you that if you look at the things that happened even before this particular petition, and the fact that a petition came, there was no petitioner, because it was not signed, it was not dated. The president had the presence of mind.
But the president committee level, certainly these petitioners appeared before the committee.
Yes, one petitioner from Kumasi. Okay. The gentleman who came and consistently any question, and anytime the gentleman who came from Kumasi, and the fact that anytime they ask him a question, he indicated that they will come and talk about it. The what do you call it? The deputy commissioners will come and talk about it. Yeah, you know the consistently made that point. And you see, and of course you and I know that there have been electronic voices that have come out to suggest that there was already a grand scheme to get this woman out of the place. We are saying that no, there are no allegations. I mean, you have all heard the voices. Yes, but you have not heard it. So the point I'm making is that if you compare what's the name? Loretta's case to Charlotte's own. The other difference is that with Loretta's own, nobody challenged it in court. Loretta's own, nobody challenged it. Let me take a break. But this one we have. When I come back, I get challenging this thing in court. We're back. And you still go ahead and you are interested in trying to. And you see, the point I'm making, I beg you, just before you go on break. 10 seconds. Yes, the point I'm making is that for Electoral Commission, this is a body that can make and unmake this country because of elections. And so we must always be very cautious when we are dealing with it. That's the only point. I'm not threatening anything, but I'm just saying that we must be cautious that can make and unmake this country.
Grateful. Let me take a break. We'll be back in a second. Welcome back. Eric, let me give you just 1 minute to react, if any, to Bauer's just 1 minute.
I think that we have to eschew a certain level of double standards and hypocrisy in this game. Do you remember just after the 2008 elections, the NDC, led by their General Secretary, Johnson Essiedu-Nketia, took cutlasses, cudgels, clubs, machetes, stones to the same EC that now my friend here, Edward Bauer, is now revering as an important institution that we are meant to protect and all that.
There's no
alleging that something untoward and some machinations were going on at the Electoral Commission. They had their mouthpiece, Radio Gold, playing this Bob Marley song, Chase the Crazy Ball Heads Out of Town, and actually there are even somebody who is sitting in Parliament today who was a host there, telling people to marshal and come to the Electoral Commission. You see, when you do these things, right, and now you turn around and create a certain perception that you are I don't even know what word to use. But you see, this whole idea about Charlotte, I think that it's important that we stick to the issues on the ground. Otherwise, a lot of things would come out that really becomes almost like trying to muddy, it makes it a bit more murkier. And it's not in anybody's interest. I, for instance, I'm not interested in somebody's wife, mother, daughter, whatever, losing their job or coming into the public domain. I mean, if you find your name in the papers and all of those, it's a very unpleasant thing. And I'm not interested in that. But the truth of the matter is that a lot of things have happened. There are things that probably cannot even be said on this platform. But that does not mean that anybody has anything in for Charlotte Osei. Like I indicated, this petition emanated from within. Now, he made mention of a certain tape that was going around. And if you are going to go by that tape, certain allegations were made as to the NDC paying $12 million to the EC and somebody pocketing $6 million. I think that case is even ended up in court and all of those things. So you see, it's important. And you know, and I know that there are a lot of things that are bandied around and are supposed to have been alleged to have been done by politicians or people in public offices and all the things that turn out not to be true. And we won't go by that. Right, but the moment you try to create a certain perception that there was an attempt and that your party rather have been the ones that have tried to protect the image of the EC. In any case, there's 3 individuals who have been asked to leave the Electoral Commission. Why is it that they're not clamoring for Georgina Opoku Amankwa and Amadou Sile and it's only Charlotte Osei? You see, and there are certain things that I can listen. On the 9th, I'll give you an example. I've said this before, I think, on Metro TV. On the 9th of December, when everybody, all the people of this country were sitting on tenterhooks, hoping that the Electoral Commission would announce the results, I was sitting next to one of your communicators on Metro TV that morning, from morning to afternoon. And he was being urged on. You have one of your WhatsApp platforms. I was sitting next to him like that. It was being urged on to continue saying that they were in a comfortable lead and that the machinery was working. I mean, what machinery? What machinery was working? How significant is that? It's extremely. So is it a battle? You know, it's extremely. So it's I can say to confirm. I just want to confirm my suspicion. I didn't say want to confirm my suspicion. So from day one, no, it means that from day one, from day one. It means that from day one, they had a plan to take the woman out. Never. Because they have never been excited about the woman. My honorable friend here can decide to be. Can decide to
all those on the ballot knew they were going to win them.
No, but you see, my good friend here can decide.
You have just confirmed the suspicion of Ghanaians.
Truthful or not.
No, let's move on. Gentlemen, let's move on. I have just 10 more minutes. Let's touch on
and you cannot blame the
close season quickly
for it.
The national today we'll talk about tomorrow's budget.
Yes, we don't have a lot of time. We'll just about 10 more minutes to wrap up. Now, we'll have a lot more time to talk about it when the minister appears before the House tomorrow. The close season, quickly, how do we go? The National Council of Canoe Fishermen say they will petition the presidency. The minority is asking government to hold that directive for now. How do we go? How do we go quickly? This one, we're just about 5 minutes on that.
Okay, so no, basically, in the first, let's say that I think on Friday, I heard the minister herself indicate that the president had directed that there should be a ban in August. The president does not have the mandate to do that.
Okay.
The minister
That's the minority.
Yes, the minister has no mandate to do that. It is the Fisheries Commission that has to do that. Indeed, it is the basis for which in 2008, when the late Honorable Gladys Asma came to Parliament to introduce a law on behalf, in terms of regulations, she was asked. It was rejected because it was the
Fisheries Commission.
So
that's a matter of law.
So the matter of law, they can't do that. That's the first thing. Our second argument has been that, look, there has not been any serious scientific study to suggest that, look, it's in August that we have most of these fishes spawning.
Right.
It has not been proven. And so in the absence of scientific data, the argument you can make is that, and you look at it from our normal practice, why is it that if you ask these fisher folks, mostly they target in August for fishing, because that is the time they have the bumper harvest. So it tells you that over a period of time, without necessarily even documenting their experience, but over the years, the experiences have suggested that in August they have these bumper harvest. So if you do not have scientific data for this, then you have a situation where for a fisherman, if he doesn't go to the sea one day, and if you've ever had, I just met somebody who was telling me that if you've ever had a fisherman as a friend, if he doesn't go to the sea for one day, it looks like the whole world has ended. The next thing is that he's looking for money somewhere. So you have for 27 days, because per the band, for 27 days, these people are not supposed to go to the sea. So what it means is that for 27 days, they have no source of income. Now let's look at the people who are involved in these things. You have, in terms of just fishermen alone, if you look at them, they're talking about roughly about 10,000 people who are just busy in this. The families that are involved in that. Then you talk about the fishmongers. So it has a cascading effect, as it were, on a larger population, particularly on a decision that in itself is unlawful, a decision that is not based on any scientific research, and to a very large extent, a decision that is going to render a lot of people miserable for the 27 days. That is why the minority indicator said, look, since we do not have these facts, let's find a way, because if you look at countries like Senegal and other things, they've been able to gather data.
They have 3 months.
Yes, and in fact, they have, even when they are banning, they don't ban just like say don't go fishing.
Right.
There are areas they know that for this particular this month, in this particular enclave, that is where the fishes are, because of the fishes also move based on the currents. So this area you cannot fish there, and so they ban, and it means that the people can still be active, but these areas they may not be able to go. But when you have a wholesale ban, and you have a whole...
We're told that they're allowed to go for tuna. That's what...
yes, they can go for tuna. Yes, you can... you and I know that you go to the fishing, you go there, you are saying that you are going to look for tuna. Is that what they do? So, and the fishermen are worried because of their very existence as human beings. The fact that they need to live for the next 27 days. It's like having a worker. Look, right, you are seated here. If for you, for 1 month, if TV3, they don't pay you, the world will hear of you. You understand? It's the same thing. And for a fisherman, for one day, if the person doesn't go to fish, and you're talking 27 days, the person should sit in the house. And there are no alternatives. And these are decisions based not on science. Then you have a problem.
Kami, how should we deal with this?
I'm not sure if that there's no scientific basis for this decision. In terms of the law, I can cede to him. Probably do a bit more research
into the issue, the matters of the law.
Yes, but the point is that I think that we also have to be a people who would become a bit more aware of sustainability issues. Now, even in our old cultural practices, there are certain things, certain days that our folks would say that don't go to the farm, don't go to the sea,
the riverside
and all that.
Even on
all of those
Tuesdays,
are things that are meant to impact positively on the environment. And I feel that, I mean, of course, a lot more work should be done in terms of the research bit, but I believe strongly that if this is allowed to happen, the fishermen themselves would be the ones who would reap the benefits going forward. Because
that's the danger that if we allow fishing this man, we run into trouble.
You understand. So I think that this should also be devoid of the same MPP, NDC dichotomy where, so for a fact that it's coming from government, it makes, basically it's wrong. And let's use it as a basis. And if there's benchmarks somewhere, I mean, the best practices elsewhere, and we can copy that, let's do so, right? I believe strongly that it serves no purpose. I mean, what motivation is there for government to deprive people of their income, of their livelihood? It makes absolutely no sense for any government whatsoever to do so, right? So I believe strongly that probably, and that's something that we're not very good at in terms of the public sector, where in terms of the consultations and the conscientization and the education bit of it, we probably are not very good at that, trying to explain the issues. And then going forward, probably what tends to happen is that decide that, okay, within that month that we want to do the banning, let's find maybe alternative things to do.
The ministry was talking about some fund there that is asking the fishermen to go and access, but we don't have a lot of time.
So I was having a conversation with an expert who is even thinking that even the wooden canoes that we are using is also a factor, because what it means is that the fisher folk cannot actually go further into the sea. So there's a gap. There's a mid-sea, and then there's a periphery, and then there's the one that goes into the deep sea. Now the big vessels and all those ones are able to go there. The wooden canoes are not able to do so. So he was suggesting that we even now go into the use of using fiberglass boats, which are actually not very expensive apparently. So all of these things are being government is trying to make sure if we can be able to adopt some of these things, so that in the near future, what would happen is that instead of depleting the stock close to the shoreline, we would be able to also take advantage, our own local fishermen be able to take advantage using the fiberglass boats to go somewhere mid-sea. So we can do it. I believe strongly that
Eric, I'm grateful for
there's some sustainability
that we can talk about.
Issues.
I'm grateful for your time. And of course, Mr. Peter Ayimbisi, the DCE for Bongo and his team will be ready to receive the president when he casts the sword for the road linking Ghana to Burkina Faso through Namu there. And Honorable Bongo will just say a few things about that.
Yes, first and foremost, let me thank your good self, your station. And then, is this Star Ghana? Star Ghana?
Yes, Star Ghana.
That was part of the
European Union and the DFI.
For throwing light into the plight of what we're having in Bongo there. Because I do know that, just as you said, the DCE was very excited about those things. I also think that in Parliament, there were 2 parliamentary questions on the same road, and that finally culminated in this. So I'm excited about that, and I want to thank you. But to a very large extent, I know that when the president comes, he is going to cut the sword for that work. I hope that in doing that, it doesn't stay just at the level of just cutting sword, but that contractors will move to site and start working. The second point is that he's also going to, quote and unquote, that cut sword for this one district, one dam.
The project has started.
Yes. But the truth of the matter is that, look, right, I come from a farming community. And particularly if you look at what we have in Bongo and what they are currently doing in Bongo, it's a dugout. And dugouts, most of these dugouts dry up in the dry season. And so if the government has promised Ghanaians about dams, and Bongo, we know what a dam looks like because of the Via Dam. We know what a dam should constitute.
I don't even know.
So if you have a situation, where he says that the issue is that we've seen that's my constituency. It's a dugout. We are asking the president that, look, they should revise this and give us a dam. That's what we are asking for. That's what they promised.
Okay, we'll get the DC to speak about this. Eric, I'm grateful for your time.
My pleasure. With me. And the opportunity to thank the president for making sure that my good friend gets a good road and then also a dam. And it happens that one of the dams is going to be in his constituency.
About 19 of them, that's what I'm told. About
19 dugouts.
Okay, well, if that's how you want to put it.
So that's semantics and description of.
We're grateful. That road one constructor will give a lot of revenue to the.
It wasn't part of the green book. You didn't put that in the green book.
Eric Chubamoko is a member of the MPP's team. Honorable Edward Bauer, MP for Bongo District. I'm grateful. All of you watching us, Martin and the team from Bongo, we're grateful for your time this morning. Stay with us. There's more after this.
Me my Ghana, adisi mama mama mumriswe. Mama yemfa odo biakuye, yemfa nya omani. Na omani eye na reja patia. Yena na numdi abebrese digitu omaye. Enti asemi no se, yensum Ghana ye. Anya sape tachi ma baba bebu yemfo. Minu ye, susu baby. Fabu Ghana, na Ghana me yo, senye yo every minute waro. Susu baby, Fabu Ghana, Na Ghana be yo, say yo, every minute. Police band is 100 years this year. These some of the exercises you see. Kana ya sasi batana ya miesha no da. Eti awo eni eye bia koyem. Oya sasi batana enkoku. Eti awo eni the previous year sundia. Enuntia se menu se yansun Ghana yiye. Anya sabe dachi echirima baba bebu yemfo. Nini yeyi susu baby Fabu wa Ghana. Na Ghana be yo, say yo if you minwara ho. Susu baby Fabu wa Ghana. Na Ghana be yo, say yo if you minwara ho.
Well, I'd like to say a very big thank you to the Ghana Police Band there. And joining me to also discuss their 100 years concert is Chief Superintendent Dr. Frank Hupoti, Director of Bands, and also DSP Mr. Kofi Ajiman-Bedu, Deputy Director of Music. Good morning. Good morning. And thank you for joining us here. But let's talk about 100 years of making music. Yeah. Interesting. How has that been for you?
Well, for me, I think it's a milestone, and we need to celebrate it.
Right.
So that is why we are here, to tell Ghanaians that we are 100 years, and for the matter, to join us in the celebration.
Okay. So 100 years, when exactly are you celebrating it, and where are you doing it?
In fact, it's a year-long activity that started. We did a launch on the 28th of December at the police headquarters by Inspector General of Police.
Okay.
And in January, we began with a recording project. In February, we went to a senior high school. And then in March, we climaxed it with our Independence Anniversary Parade at the Independence Black Star Square.
Nice.
So in fact, it's going to run through the year till December, where we're going to have a Thanksgiving service to climax the whole program.
Altogether, how many people form the band? And do you have divisions, or is it just one big band?
And in fact, it started as one big band, and then as the days progressed, we had divisions.
Okay. Interesting. So concerning the 100-year celebration, you're also launching a CD.
That's correct.
So what should we expect on that CD?
In fact, we have decided to put our indigenous folkloric materials, as a regimental institution, we play marches and other type of music.
Nice.
And instead of playing Western-oriented marches, we've decided to use our own songs arranged into march music.
Okay.
So these are some of the songs that you'll be expecting to hear on the CD.
DSP Mr. Kofi Ajiman-Bedu, let me come to you. You're Deputy Director of Music. How easy is it coming up with music for your band to actually play and make such nice music to give us on Monday mornings like this? Mornings like this.
It's not easy. It's not easy. But we have chosen to serve Mother Ghana from this aspect of life. So we try to do our possible best to feed the soul with our music.
Nice. So also tell us about the awards that is going to take place on the same day.
Yes. In fact, we've segmented them.
Okay.
We have our past directors that are living. Excuse me my language. We don't have to wait for them to pass on before we begin to celebrate them, which is wrong. So we decided to celebrate our past directors. We have 4 living past directors around. And besides that, we also want to award categories of Ghanaians who are also music appreciators.
Okay.
For instance, Miss Joyce Ice, for instance, she appreciates music a lot. She has a choir. We decided we decided to bring her on board. We decided to bring Pastor Mensa Otabil. He has formed a symphony orchestra. Right. It's also another big contribution to music in Ghana. So that's the second segment. And then the third segment, we're also looking at music educators. There are lecturers who are doing the music teaching in the classrooms, but nobody recognizes them. So we're also bringing them on board, like Miss Theodora Antomensa, who is a lecturer at the Methodist University. And we also have choral composers, Niola Vannan, Samasare Bediakun. In fact, we use most of their songs. So if we are using their songs, why don't we recognize them as well? So these are the category of people we are going to award.
Nice. So when is it happening? Where? What time? And are we paying or it's free?
No, it's free. We want every average Ghanaian to be able to participate. So it's free. We are beginning at 3 p.m. at the National Theatre on Sunday. In fact, when we say 3 p.m., our 3 p.m. is 3 p.m. So when you come at 4, you wouldn't be lucky. You miss some of the segments.
Right.
So it's 3 p.m. and it's at National Theatre and it's for free.
For both of you, I want to find out what the feeling has been like, you know, putting a band together, working with them. Of course, with the police, because of your conduct or code of ethics, we expect a certain, you know, way of life when it comes to even managing them. How easy has it been?
Well, like my brother just said, it's never been easy, you know, working with, humans. It's difficult. But we try to endure that. That is why we are trained, you know. So even though we have challenges, but at the end of the day, we all come out to keep the flag flying.
Nice. So 100 years to come, where should we expect your band?
100 years to come?
Yes.
Wow.
You wouldn't be alive, but you would have left a legacy that it should continue.
Yes. A legacy. We're going to have, if the Ghanaians do us the honors, we're going to have a centenary building that we're going to use as our classrooms. We're going to have a music academy.
Nice.
So we expect that 200 years, whereas we'll be resting somewhere, our those who come and take over from us will have a very good atmosphere to work.
Nice. So my final words from you.
Well, I will entreat all Ghanaians to come on board this vessel on Sunday, 22nd of July at the National Theatre at 3 p.m. to come and then listen and then also come and participate in what we are doing. At the end of the day, we are all serving Mother Ghana.
We indeed are. Very well. I have been speaking to Chief Superintendent Dr. Frank Hupoti. He's the Director of Bands, and also DSP Mr. Kofi Ajiman Bedu. He's the Deputy Director of Music, and they have been telling us about their 100-year celebration and CD launch, which will be taking place on Sunday, 22nd July 2018. They said at exactly 3 p.m. sharp. Because you don't want to miss it, make sure you are there even before 3 p.m. so that when the music kicks start, you'll be there to enjoy. We'll take a break. Center. Good morning, Dr.
Good morning.
It's always a pleasure to have you in studio.
Thank you.
So you've got, you know, a sculpt here of what I know to be the spine, but we'll just want to find out, when we talk about scoliosis, that big name, that scary name, what exactly is it?
So when we talk about scoliosis, we're talking about the sideways or lateral abnormal curvature of the spine. So when you look at the spine from the front, on a normal spine, you should have a straight view. But with scoliosis, there's an abnormal curve that goes to the side, and so it looks kind of like this. You can have it from the neck into the mid-back area, or from the neck all the way down into the lower back area, and it comes with a lot of complications too.
Right. So how does one develop the scoliosis? Are you born with it, or do you acquire it along the way? So
we call something idiopathic, meaning that for most people who have scoliosis, there's no known cause. So outside of having an accident or a fall or another disease, we can't pinpoint what could have caused the scoliosis. So we call it idiopathic. And then there's those who may have been born with it, so congenital scoliosis, and it may have been as a result of a birth injury or something that happened very, very soon after birth that could lead to the scoliosis as well.
Is this something that is passed on through families? And so if my mother had it, would I necessarily have it as well?
The research is showing that in few cases, not the majority, scoliosis can be passed on as well.
So supposing I'm born with scoliosis, like you mentioned, there are some complications that could arise from that. How will that impact on the, you know, life of the individual, the quality of it?
So a lot of the time, scoliosis is not too much of a problem in that it may not give too much pain or disability. It can be maintained. So depending on the degree of the scoliosis, we have what we call a Cobb angle, which we use to calculate how severe the scoliosis is. Between 1 and about 20, most people can live with it comfortably and not have too many complications. Then we have from 20 to about 35, 40, where it's more severe. And this is where it starts to affect the organs. For instance, if it's really severe in the chest area where your heart and the lungs are, anywhere 30 plus of the Cobb angle, it can impinge on those organs. And then anywhere 40 plus, that's the most severest type of scoliosis. Sometimes those people have to undergo surgery to prevent any complications with your organs.
Right. So for those that are congenital, it seems you just have to manage it. But for those that we acquire along the line, are there any attributable things that we can do or modify so that we don't, have scoliosis?
Right. So especially in children, we want to look at their posture, because the spine is still malleable when you're a child, and how you treat it is what would determine how healthy your spine is. So we want kids, for instance, to keep light school bags, to watch their posture when they're sitting in class and things like that. And then as adults, the way we sit in the office, ergonomics comes to play, the way we pick up things. All those things can have an effect on the spine. And then also, once you start having signs of pain or posture imbalances, a lot of the times people just ignore it. And then as it gets worse, people start to assume certain positions for pain relief, and that, if not controlled, can lead into scoliosis as well.
But you mentioned how we bend down to pick items, which is a very, common thing in Ghana, because you're being asked to pick a bucket of water, and even in our secondary schools where you had to carry water and literally balance it along a long stretch. How best would you advise that we carry water?
So I recommend that you carry 2 small buckets instead of 1 heavy bucket, because what happens is when you're holding the bucket on one side, when it's too heavy, you end up bending one way. So if you have to do this every day, all day for X amount of years, it can have an effect on your spine. So it's best you have 2 small buckets, and that of about even weight. That way you're balanced in the center.
Nice. That gives us a picture of a being balanced.
Exactly.
There's equal weights on both sides. But so in the event that you have scoliosis, what can Nova Wellness do to help you?
So we focus on the natural structural way of correcting scoliosis, especially in children. So right up until about 15 years of age, when the bones haven't fused yet and the bones are still developing. If the degree is up to about 20-25, we've had great results with correcting it, because the spine is still growing. So the chiropractic adjustments, there are stretches that we do. We call something the foam roller, which we're able to use to straighten the spine, literally. So long as you're not in the advanced stage of scoliosis, absolutely, especially in children, we can correct scoliosis with the chiropractic adjustments and other therapeutic exercises. And even in adults, because the thing with scoliosis is that it typically gets worse slowly. So if it's not caught in childhood, but even in adulthood, if you leave it, then by the time you are 50, 60, it would have been way more advanced. So we have therapies and the chiropractic adjustments that we do that would help maintain it and prevent it from getting worse.
So from what you're saying, I would like to reassure people out there watching, it doesn't necessarily mean you'd always need surgery to correct it, because Ghanaians are oftentimes afraid of coming to the doctor because you'd say, I'm taking you to theater.
Exactly. No. Scoliosis can be controlled, especially if it's caught early. That's the biggest problem, because in children, when they complain about pain, a lot of guardians and parents will say, oh, you know, it's nothing, you grow out of it. Sometimes they do grow out of it, but sometimes they don't. So my advice is, you know, don't just overlook it. If your child or if somebody's complaining about pain persistently, then you obviously want to have them checked properly, and a lot of the times it can be controlled or maintained. And then another thing that I strongly recommend is swimming. Swimming is an excellent exercise for people who have scoliosis, because it brings balance to all the back muscles, as opposed to other exercises which may work out only certain areas. So if you have scoliosis, you've been diagnosed of it, or you know, sometimes there are some signs that you want to look out for. Maybe you realize that your shoulders are not balanced, or you realize that we call something a rib hump. So one of your shoulder blades may be popping out more. That's also another sign. Or your hips may also be uneven. All those are signs of possible scoliosis. So if you've seen that on your child, on your significant other, or somebody at work, then it's very, very important that they are evaluated immediately, so that if we can help them, we go ahead and do that.
Very well. I'd like to say a very big thank you for teaching us about scoliosis and how to at least prevent it, but also if you have it already, how to manage it. You do want to visit Nova Wellness Center. It's very easy to locate. They're on Kanda, so you just find them, go there, and Dr. Dodo will be there to see to you. So on that note, we'll end our health segment. We have been talking about scoliosis with Dr. Nashale Dodo. She's the CEO of Nova Wellness Center. But you know, we're celebrating Vodafone's 10th birthday, and they are giving away a rate of 10 pesos for everything to call any Vodafone number or any other network, just for 10 pesos per minute, and also to browse for 10 pesos per megabyte. That is not all. You also get to enjoy 10 times the value of the credit you buy, and you get to share it with 2 others who also get 10 times, like Ekikime style. Yes, it's the 10 this thing. Simply subscribe by calling 135 to enjoy this amazing Vodafone anniversary offer. Well, you know how we're doing it here is the Wednesday edition of New Day. We still have the band in studio, so we'll come back and you'll enjoy more from them. So don't change the station. Stick and stay with us. We'll be right back.
An emergency, get easy access to the place. So that is what we have for you here for now. My name is Kwabna Edu Jemfi, and this is for TV3 New Day.
Right, and Kwabna will tell us more about the opening. We're told that work will resume. So my guest this morning is the Chief Executive Officer of the National Health Insurance Authority. You know, they're in the news. He is warned, he is cautioned that either we commit 1% more to what we're paying now, or we risk unable to administer services in a year's time. Dr. Semolano is here. Good morning.
Good morning.
Grateful to have you with us. How serious should we take that caution?
Can I put it into proper perspective?
Do.
Because then it's something like, is either we get additional money or we are flat on the ground. Not at all. Not at all. I mean, we're sitting in an environment where we have elected a president in the leadership of His Excellency Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, who basically has made health a priority. There's no way a social intervention program, the National Health Insurance Authority, which has been brought about under the leadership of former President, His Excellency J.A. Kufuor, will be allowed to go down with or without funding. But what we are saying is that as a National Health Insurance Authority, we have reached a crossroad. This scheme was started around 2004. Up to 2009, it was very stable. It had enough reserves. It had adequate funding. The members on the scheme were few, and therefore there were no problems like going to hospital being told pay 10 cedis, pay 5 cedis, pay 700 cedis. All these unauthorized co-payments were not there. Now, beyond 2009-2010, there started being a lot of concern about the fact that unauthorized co-payment, unauthorized charging of fees, people being turned away, that they will not even accept the cards, started creeping in. But that was because the numbers grew to a peak of about 11.5, 11.4 million, and we're using the same funding model, which was not enough. What we have done when we resumed the administration beginning of last year is to try and focus on the core business. Of course, the scheme was doing that, laying down infrastructure, building district offices, regional offices, doing so many things with that limited money. And we reached a point where we're crashing. So we suspended all those non-core business activities which were not directly to the benefit of patients who were being seen at the service provider outlets, and focus on the little money we have to pay the service providers to instill some confidence into the scheme. Now, having done that, we have to try and look at measures that we can put down to make sure that this scheme would never get to a point where people now go to hospital and they are asked to pay this or pay that or being turned away. And those measures we have touted under our 4 foundational pillars. The first one we said was that the funding model of the 2.5% VAT and the 2.5% SNET, which constitutes currently about 95% of our total funding, is inadequate. Because that translates to 2 years ago, the authority received about 1.1 billion. Last year, we received about 1.2 billion. Now, these amounts, looking after 11 million people, translate to maybe about 100 cedis, 110 cedis per person per year. We are saying that purchasing health is an international commodity. The same amount of money you need to treat somebody with pneumonia in Ghana, you spend the same amount of money to treat somebody with pneumonia in South Africa, in London, in Paris, or in New York. So we must know that we're dealing with international commodities. So at 110 cedis per year, where WHO is advocating that we should be dealing with a minimum of about $86 per person per year, and slightly better care, we're looking at probably about 400 cedis per person per year. So we at 110, we want to move to 400. We are calling on the general public, our members, to say that as our first pillar of sustainability for the next 50, 100 years, we should look at changing the financial model from our side and from government side. Now, on government side, we put a proposal that the NHIL levy, which is currently at 2.5%, should be looked at to be increased to 3.5%. On our side,
so you have said that
2%
more or 1%? 1% more. Okay. Please go
on. Our side, we're saying that we have members who are paying premiums of about 25 cedis a year, a whole year. Let's revise that. If we accept that health is our #1 priority, it's not about doing our hair every week. It's not about our nice shoes or cars or houses or anything. It's about health. You can have everything right. If your health is not secured or insured, you are very vulnerable. You are in trouble. So if that is our #1 priority, then on our own, people who work at least contribute 1% of your earnings. If you earn 800 cedis a month, 8 cedis every month, don't give it to government. Put it into your own health fund, our own health fund, to look after your health. There are some people who earn more than that. There are some people who don't work at all. There are some people who are too old, some people who are too young to work. In a population of 29 million, the formal labor force is only about 1.2 million. They are the people who contribute to SNET, which adds to what we have.
Right.
They cannot carry 29 million people. So we are going to go out, informal sector, formal sector, anybody who earns a reasonable amount of income. We are saying that as a nation, let all of us decide that we are putting money aside to look after our health. Now, having taken that decision, we get to the next critical decision, which everybody is very concerned about. Are we looking after the little we have properly or not?
Cutting down waste.
Cutting down waste. Making sure every penny is used properly. We, in conjunction with our board, the executive management, our management, we are saying that we are running an open door policy. You can come in at any time, question us at any time. Maybe, as the Ashanti say, maybe we are doing something which is wrong. You draw our attention, we straighten up, because the principle is that as we went around the country, people are not saying we will not pay the 5 cedis a month or 8 cedis a month. What they are telling us is that what we are concerned about is that when we pay you the 5 cedis a month or 8 cedis a month, are you going to look after it properly? It is a huge problem of accountability that people have across the nation.
Is the scheme able to look after the monies properly?
I believe for now we can do a lot better. We can do a lot better, and that is the things we've been focusing on for a year now. For now, we receive almost about 30 million claims every year, and we subject these things to manual processing. It is fraught with so many errors, so many dangers, so many corrupt avenues. So we are saying that let's move from this manual processing to electronic processing. That is the first thing we are focusing aggressively on, to cut down waste, to cut down irregular claims being submitted and everything. I mean, how do we enter 2018 and we continue to pay claims being brought in for 2015? And they will give you also reasons: we submitted early, we did that, with that. The only way to check some of these abuses is to go electronic. So that's the first thing. The second thing also is that we have to send a clear message to every corner of this country that as a nation, we are not going to joke with our health. You have a situation where the current law equates crime as crime. So even if you steal banana, or you perpetrate, organize, and plan to steal maybe about 10,000 cedis or 20,000 cedis from National Health Insurance Authority, both of you people, the one who stole banana and the one who stole the 10,000, you've all committed crime. And the judge is at liberty, according to the law now, to either fine you, either imprison you, or maybe give you both. Now you have no control. We prosecute a case that takes us maybe about 7 years, only for the person to be fined and cautioned not to do that again. We want to change the law.
Enough.
No, it's not deterrent. And the only language that works in this business of insurance is deterrent. So we want to move away from that and make it compulsory in the law that once you are convicted, you're imprisoned. And you pay whatever corrupt practice you did, maybe times 10 what you did, because it takes a lot of money to prosecute somebody. So that is one thing, the deterrent. We are sending the message loud and clear. We set an example. Takrady, the judge, put somebody in 10 years, put another in 5 years. This is where we want to go. We're also saying that let us remove all the inconveniences, all the bureaucracies around. People going to get a card, they sit there for hours on end. People go to a health facility, they say go and pay 10 cedis here, go and pay 50 cedis here, go and pay that. Let us put measures in place to check all these things, so that if a nation will say that maternal care is free, it is free. We came from a visit to Thailand not too long ago. Now, they have a system similar to ours. We first visited their national health insurance. They told us we're operating on a budget of about $217 per capita per year. It works out maybe about 1,000 cedis per person per year. And by the way, 1,000 cedis per person per year is what our private health insurance are charging in Ghana now. So the Thailand one is very similar to ours. All the private health insurance we have in Ghana, their premium ranges from 1,000 cedis and above. 1,000 cedis and above. And we at about 110 cedis. So this is what we are charging. And we say, how are you paying your claims? Oh, claims we pay every month, every 2 months, we pay everything. It sounded very good and beautiful.
Okay.
Then we went out to the village, we met the service providers. And then they are telling us from the hospitals, oh, we've not been paid for 1 year. This is in Thailand.
Okay. Doc, let me cut you in here. Unfortunately, we'll have to wrap up the conversation. But quickly before you go, in this attempt at reducing waste, what is currently on social media? Are you aware about it? That document suggesting that that amount of money is being spent on communicators.
I've just been questioned and interviewed on it from Class FM. And I'm telling them that as a policy, following up from our decision to run an open accounting policy, we want to disseminate information, we want to get to the people as much as possible. All the things we are doing, including the e-renewal, including information desks we'll be putting in district hospitals, including changes in the law and everything, we want to disseminate. So we have had a budget for media.
Right.
That they are going out, everybody, like where I'm sitting, where we'll be going, pro-media, open policy. It's a policy we've adopted. So it's possible one of those events which they did to disseminate all what we are doing so that the whole country will know what we are doing.
So it's not fake?
No, I haven't seen the document, but it's a policy, and I believe that is one of the things.
Dr. Nodes, we'll talk more about that, but for now we have to take you off. He'll be on Radio 3FM. If you're watching us, quickly tune your radio to 3FM 92.7. Dr. Arno will continue the conversation from there. We'll bring you more of issues with the call for increase later on, right here. But let's wrap up the show this morning. The police band is here. My name is Nana. I was here with Dr. Nana Machima. Have a good morning and stay right here on TV3. Good morning.
Make me wanna rearrange the alphabet so I could put you next to letter I. Take my heart, baby, carry go. If you leave me, baby, I go die. Ituna suni sisi kitty kitty. Okabra foti china nu ya visi visi. Nisi mujre smile siri siri. Ompenu wasa mininu chili chili. Yeah. Baby ni brownie. Yeah. Golden tree chocolate. Yeah. Ninja toli. Yeah. Each and every day minya bidi. Yeah. My own. That time I dey chase and there no money there. My own.